So the other day I was at my local guitar shop, Righteous Guitars, up in Alpharetta, Georgia, and I was just buying some strings and was looking at their top row of Les Pauls, and I noticed that they got in one of the new Murphy Lab Les Pauls from the Gibson Custom Shop. Now, like many of you, I've read about Murphy Lab and seen some of the hype around it, but I haven't had the chance to play one yet, and I figured this might be a good opportunity to do an old-fashioned guitar shootout. We've done these videos on this channel for years at this point, and it's been a while since I've done one. So I called my friend Ben Calhoun down at Righteous, and he's organized a little shootout for us today. We're gonna compare the Murphy Lab Les Paul, which is a $7,000 Les Paul, to one of the most affordable Les Pauls they have in the shop, which is an Eastman, right around $1,500. And I think we've got a wild card guitar that's gonna go somewhere in the middle there, but I'm not sure what that is yet. So we're gonna try and see if there's a difference of $5,500, that is right, $7,000, $1,500 off of $7,000, $5,500.
Yeah, seems like it. Yeah.
So we're gonna see if there's a $5,500 difference between the custom shop Les Paul and the Eastman, and try and see which one I would walk away with. Now, before we get started, I should say this video is in no way sponsored by Eastman, Heritage, Gibson, or the Custom Shop, or even Righteous. This is a completely subjective video. We're just gonna go down and see which of the three I like the best and go from there. So with all that out of the way, let's pack up the gear and head over to Righteous and check out some Les Pauls.
Nice.
All right, what is this?
So this is a Murphy Lab 59. So it's a 59 Les Paul that is finished in the Murphy Lab at Gibson. So the finish itself is actually different. It's his finish. It does have some aging, but it's super light. I don't even know if you can pick it up. It's really just checking.
How is his finish different than what they're using at Custom Shop?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but it is something proprietary. I'm sure it has to do with aging. Knowing Tom is probably his replication of what they used in the 50s. Would be my guess, but I don't have any true knowledge about that. So if you buy a regular 59 right now, it's $6,500 for a custom shop 59. It's $500 more to do ultralight aging, which is what this is, through Murphy Lab. I will say this, it is beautiful. I mean, look at the burst.
Yeah.
That is solid. I think it's called tomato soup.
So that's our top end, right?
This is the top tier, yeah.
That's the one to beat.
Yeah. Not the most expensive Les Paul you can buy by any means, but it is kind of the upper echelon of a Gibson Custom Shop. So this will be a fun one to put in there. All right. So up next is a $2,800 guitar. This is a Heritage H150. Heritage is the original factory that Gibsons were built in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and a lot of the original employees basically got the company and kept it going. So this is a version of the Gibson Les Paul that's built by people who built the original Les Pauls in the factory where they built the original Les Pauls. Definitely cool. Same construction as far as all the guitars we're looking at are maple tops, mahogany backs, mahogany necks, and nitrocellulose lacquer again, but different formulation. And you can see, even looking at it here, that without the checking, it still has a different look to it. I don't know what causes that. Maybe more buffing or something, I'm not sure. And then here's the newcomer, right? This is an Eastman. This is their version of a 59. Of course, the body's a little bit different. It does have the maple top. Beautiful.
Look at that back, man.
Beautiful mahogany back.
Wow.
A lot of depth to it, mahogany neck. They didn't use a red toner on it, or mahogany, darker mahogany toner on it. And it has some things you can see that are, there are some areas that make it a little more obvious what it is, but overall, this is a just shy of $1,600 guitar. Nitrocellulose lacquer, set neck. This one has an ebony fingerboard, which is different, but
nice touch though.
It is cool and it looks good. So, and this is a Chinese company, by the way, but the company is a Chinese company because they're in China, not because they're a mass manufacturing doing a ton of OEM stuff for everybody else. So they're known for a long time for doing stringed instruments, violins, cellos, upright basses, things of that nature, and then acoustic guitars, and then finally electric guitars. Really solid stuff. I mean, across the board, it's been surprisingly good.
Okay, so we're set up in the amp room here at Righteous. The amp we're using today is the third powered kitchen sink head in 112 cab. And I've got that mic'd up with a Earthworks SR25, and then we're using the XY capsule on the Zoom to get a little bit of room sound as well blended in there. Well, we're gonna play the 3 guitars just back to back straight into the amp, no effects. And I'm gonna do my best to try and play the same thing on all 3 guitars. All right, so of the 3, even though this is the biggest price gap, it's between these 2 for me.
Yeah,
This guitar sounds really good.
really good.
So here's the difference to me. Like when I was playing them, I like the way this one sounded.
Yep.
But it has that sort of new guitar kind of feel because it is a new guitar. So the lacquer is like fresh and really smooth and sticky. And whereas that to me feels the way I want a Les Paul to feel.
Yeah, I felt like the small things, like the fingerboard edge on that's a lot sharper.
Yeah.
It's not. It doesn't have that rolled feel, so it feels like a new guitar. Like
Right.
you said, it feels almost like flat and cut. Whereas this is like it feels.
That feels like
right.
it's been. It feels like
right.
it's been played for 60 years, even though it hasn't.
Good, man. It feels really
And I've played real 59s, and there's a difference between like a really great burst and a custom shop. I'm not going to sit here and say that like, oh, it's the same thing, but that gets me closer to where I want to be playing a Les Paul than this or the Heritage. Now the Heritage was cool too. This just wasn't doing it as much for me.
It was lower. It was a little smoother, a little lower output.
I will say fit and finish on this is great.
I think it goes like this, right? Like as far as fit and finish,
Yeah,
this is the least.
yeah.
Like there's little things all over the place. You look at the side of the binding, which I don't know if you can see this in the camera, but if you look, you can see where it was hand scraped. But look at the roundover right there. That's what happens on an old guitar.
Right.
And it feels good. It feels right. But, you know, there's a lot of little things like that. The Heritage, I think, is cleaner.
Yeah.
Almost in every area. It's a little more, you know, attention to detail. And then the Eastman is really close to flat.
I can't get over really how good this guitar is for $1,500, man.
So I like the feel of that one better, the Heritage.
Right.
I liked the sound of this one better,
I would agree
the
with
Eastman.
that.
And I like the feel and the sound of this one better than both of them, but you could buy both of those for this.
You could.
And then some.
But here's the deal, like when we get into this, see the idea of this discussion is not, is it worth $7,000
Right.
per se? Because that's a subjective thing,
Yeah.
right? To me, personally, I would spend the money on that, and I would feel good about spending the money on that guitar.
Yeah.
The differences, though, are not, it's a law of diminishing returns.
For sure.
With that said, though, the way that guitar felt and the way it made me feel while I was playing it absolutely outdoes both of these guitars.
I couldn't agree more, and I think that from the angle that you're coming from, the angle that I also come from is that I've bought a lot of guitars where I compromised a little bit, and eventually I ended up buying the guitars I wanted. They were expensive.
Yeah.
But I probably spent 15, 20 grand to get to a $5,000 guitar.
Right.
Because it seemed like ridiculous to spend $5,000 on a guitar. Then I finally got one. All those guitars that I have bought like that, I still have.
Yeah.
And I'm totally happy with every one of them.
That's a lifer guitar.
Yeah,
right
exactly.
there. Like
So
that's what that. It's like my Novo. It's
Yeah.
a lifer guitar.
It's right here, dude. That's
Dude.
sweet.
Yeah.
It was so sweet.
With that said, though, for $1,500, I'm really surprised.
They're really nice guitars. And the Heritage stuff, I mean, all the 335s we had of those, and actually all of their guitars that we had has sold through, because those are really nice guitars too. So there's really, each of these is killer in its price range, you know?
This is why I keep saying, man, like there's never been a better time to be a guitar player.
Agreed.
These could not be more different in terms of price,
Right?
but they're all really good.
Yeah.
And these would make 3 different players all really happy.
Yeah. I wouldn't hesitate in a moment for that.
Yeah.
And I have owned a lot of humbucking guitars that cost more than that weren't as good as that.
Yeah. What would you put your money into and feel the best about buying?
There's a very good reason for this, because I flat out wouldn't buy a Les Paul unless I absolutely loved everything about it. So I would have to spend the extra money. I actually like this guitar a lot. Like I would go home and play this a lot, but it takes a lot for me to fall in love with the Les Paul. So I'm not saying that's right for everybody. For me, that's right here.
I've played a lot of Les Pauls. I have a great Les Paul. I've had 2 great Les Pauls. That is in the top 5 Les Pauls I've ever played. Whether you have $1,500 to spend, $3 grand to spend, or $7 grand to spend, you can get a ringer Les Paul.
For sure.
Yeah, you don't have to go and spend the big money on the big brand name to get a really great guitar these days.
If you want a Les Paul and you've got less than $2 grand to spend, you'd be insane not to check this out,
This
because that is a
guitar's
really
so
great
good.
guitar.
It's so good.
You know, and hey, if you got less than 3 to spend, check out Heritage. If you've got less than 4 to spend, it's tough. That's a tough range, but go dig around. They're out there.
Yeah.
I definitely would try to go custom shop though.
Yeah.
If you're going to go Gibson, I am a big fan of custom shop, and
I agree.
you know the prices are crazy, but it's a lot of guitar.
It's a lot of guitar. say I'm blown away by those 3 guitars. The fact that you can get 3 different guitars from 3 different manufacturers and 3 completely different price points, and all of them were great, is really impressive. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think there's never been a better time to be a guitar player than today. And this is a perfect example of that. If you've got $1,000 to $1,500 to spend, you can get a killer guitar. Or if you have the money to spend and you're looking for something that is truly close to the real thing, a real 59 Les Paul, the custom shop in that Murphy Lab, they're absolutely killing it. Now for me, and for my money, I think the Murphy Lab takes it. But this is subjective. That Murphy Lab does what I want a Les Paul to do. It feels right, it's the right weight, I love the pickups, and as soon as I started playing that guitar, I felt more like me playing that guitar, if that makes any sense. It's what I wanted a Les Paul to sound like. Now, that's not to disparage the Eastman or the Heritage. Both of those are fantastic guitars, and I would be happy with both of them if I bought either one of them. But if I had to pick one, I would save up and spend the extra coin to get that Murphy Lab. I thought it was that great. But I want to know what you think. Let me know in the comment section down below which of the 3 you would buy if you were in the market. Huge thanks to Righteous Guitars and Ben for letting us come down and film today. It's always a good time going to hang out over there. So if you're in the Alpharetta, Georgia area anytime, I highly recommend going to check out those guys at Righteous. And all 3 of those guitars were for sale. So if you're seeing this at the time the video goes up, they might still be available. But they're probably going to go quick, so call them up if you're interested. If you want to support the channel, check out the links in the description box down below. You can find links to my video courses down there, as well as my Helix presets, Kemper Profiles, and everything else that I have available for sale. And look out in the very near future, we have a new subscription service coming called Inner Circle. It's going to be launching next week. This is a little teaser post. I haven't said anything about it yet, but we will have that and more details on that coming very soon. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Rhett Shull, and remember, there is no plan B.